Welcome into this edition of ACAP Today for the week of May 15th, 2023. I'm Jason Parent with Aroostook County Action Program. On this week's special Community Action Month edition of ACAP Today, we're going to talk with a leader at the national level, a leader at the state level, and a leader here in Aroostook County about the community action movement, why it's so important and why it's needed now more than ever. We've started this as a bit of a tradition, an annual tradition, to catch up on community action during Community Action Month on ACAP Today, and we're going to continue that tradition on this broadcast in just a little bit. But before we get to that, as we do at each point in the broadcast, we're first going to turn to the news and information that you can use again for the week of the 15th of May, 2023. And we begin our news and information you can use segment by sharing with you that we are in the midst of our diaper drive, right about the middle of our diaper drive as part of our Community Action Month activities for the month of May. Did you know that diapers can cost up to $140 per child for a family each month? So imagine having more than one child in diapers at a time. As a result, ACAP is holding a diaper drive to support Aroostook County families in need. Here's how you can help. You can drop off diapers any size at any ACAP location across Aroostook County. You can also make a monetary donation at that location or do it online at acap-me.org/getinvolved/donate. You can also host a diaper drive at your business or organization. So if you'd like more information on that, you can email us at info@acap-me.org or give Kim a call at 207-532-5371. We look forward to receiving lots of diapers in the second half of this month to help county families, especially as we head into the summer months here and their children get into diapers. And we move on now to remind folks across our viewing area that it's time for many of you to re-up for main care through mymainconnection.gov. There are changes happening to our state's main care system, including the expiration of the pandemic era qualifications and eligibility for main care. So we are asking that if you see an envelope that comes in the mail, similar to one in the small inset photo there that has that blue box on it, that it's there's a couple of things that you need to do if you see that envelope coming in the mail. You need to update your contact information. And as you look in for that blue block envelope, think about that being your time to renew. That's when you need to renew through mymainconnection.gov. Now, folks, for those of you who are, for whatever reason, no longer eligible for receiving main care, there is another alternative, and ACAP is here to help with that, and that's called coverme.gov. That's Maine's open marketplace for health insurance. And one of the qualifying events, because this is not an open enrollment period, is the loss or soon to be loss of comprehensive health coverage. So folks including in this at this time are those who would lose their main care coverage. You can call an ACAP navigator at 764-3721, and we will help connect you with this site, help go over different plan options for you, and help talk you through it. You can either meet in person or they can meet virtually with you to go over the options that pop up for you in coverme.gov. But please do give us a call if you find yourself in this situation or at all find yourself without health care. Winter energy relief payments, we've shared with you that the Home Energy Assistance Program is completed for the current heating season. We will resume appointments again in July for the coming heating program season, but we do have a limited number of winter energy relief payments for folks who just find that they don't have an ability to heat their home at this time and do not have the resources to be able to do that. You see the income qualification guidelines there on your screen. This is part of LD3, the Maine legislature's energy relief supplemental package that they passed earlier this year. So if you are in need of assistance at this point with energy payments, please do give us a call and we can see if you qualify and are eligible for the winter energy relief payment program. We are also reminding folks, as many folks are experiencing food insecurity, especially since the SNAP benefits have decreased over the last few months, to please look for your local community cupboard. This one is outside of our ACAP 771 Main Street Presque Isle Customer Service Center near Walmart. If you are in need of a quick access to healthy, nutritious food, please do utilize your local community cupboard. On the other hand, if you are able to help and assist others, the community cupboards operate under a give what you can, take what you need principle. They are scattered throughout Aroostook County. Some are at grocery stores, some are with nonprofit organizations, some are in a post office or a rec center. Look for your local community cupboard. Inside of this community cupboard, again in Presque Isle at the building near Walmart, the ACAP building near Walmart, is a printed food resource guide that can help you access food resources on a more sustaining basis. That guide can also be found on the ACAP news and publications page, and we encourage you to check that out. We have been sharing this information with you for the past few weeks and had a guest a few weeks ago on the program from our partners at Pride Aroostook. Pride Aroostook is proudly presenting Prom for All. It's coming right up. It's actually this Friday, May 19th at the University of Maine at Presque Isle. It will happen from 7 to 10 p.m. Now, this is for all, for LGBTQ plus and allied high school age students from, get this, Aroostook, Washington, and Northern Penobscot counties. So it doesn't matter what high school you went to. If you're in this geographic region, or what high school you go to, I should say, you are invited to the Prom for All. It's a come as you are, dress as you like event at the University of Maine at Presque Isle. There will be a great entertainment that evening, and we're encouraging all youth, all high school aged youth, to consider attending the Prom for All on Friday, May 19th at the University of Maine at Presque Isle. The complimentary event that Pride Aroostook is hosting the very next night is the We Are Family Gala and Silent Auction. That again is being held on Saturday, May 20, 2023. The doors open for that event at 5:30 p.m. Tickets are $50 each, $75 for two, $100 for three, or a table of 8 for $300. Now, all funds raised support the Prom for All and other youth and adult specific programming and events sponsored by Pride Aroostook. This is a dinner, a plated dinner event, and there will be music during the dinner and social time by the Pelletier and Lovejoy Jazz Ensemble, a very popular local jazz ensemble. Dancing commences at 8 with Hands Up Entertainment and DJ Corey Tilley. So a great evening of fun, great food, and great fellowship at this particular event. Please do consider going to the Facebook Pride Aroostook location for more information on this event and how to get your tickets. And we are also sharing with you that our housewarming event is coming right up for the North Street Teen Center. We featured an interview with some of the teens working on this facility on last week's edition of ACAP Today. So come and help us celebrate the grand opening. This is a chance for adults to see the first teen youth center here in Aroostook County. It's a place created by teens for teens. The open house is coming right up. It's next week on May 23rd from 3 to 6 p.m. at 24 North Street in Presque Isle, the site of the North Street Teen Center. If you're looking to support this project now, you can visit the Teen Center housewarming wish list by searching North Street Teen Center at amazon.com/registries. There's some items there that they're in need of at the Teen Center, and would love to have any donations that you are able to make at this time. Again, that's the housewarming at the North Street Teen Center on May 23rd from 3 to 6 p.m. And lastly, if there are services or programs that you find yourself in need of, if you're challenged with basic needs at this time, please do give us a call here at ACAP. We have a team of navigators. The phone number is 764-3721. They can help connect you with programs both inside of our agency and outside with some of our great community partners. And that's this week's news and information that you can use again for this, the week of May 15th, 2023. Well, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, we are joined by a national leader from the National Community Action Partnership to talk about what's become, I guess, an annual tradition for us to sort of catch up on why community action is so important in this country and why it's important at this moment. And Denise Harlow, it's great to have you back with us for that conversation. And it seems like all of the past years that we've had this conversation, just the last couple or three, that answer has been more than ever, and it seems that more than ever is the case again. And I just want to also acknowledge and welcome Jamie Chandler, our Chief Operating Officer, and we'll catch up with Megan Hannon, our Chief Executive Officer here in the state of Maine for Maine Community Action Partnership in a bit. But welcome back, Denise.
Thanks for having me. It's always great to be with you, and happy Community Action Month.
Indeed, indeed. So Community Action Month always takes on additional significance, but we're rounding the end of the first 5 decades of community action. Next year is going to be the 60th anniversary of community action here in the United States. Your thoughts as we come to the end of the first 5 decades?
Wow. To have a network that reaches coast to coast in every corner of America, that has been supporting families, helping to strengthen communities, and they do it every day in every corner, is just an amazing network. And to be reaching our 60th anniversary is quite the milestone. I think it speaks to the resiliency of both the network, local agencies, as well as this infrastructure that we have that kind of ties us all together as local agencies, state associations, and national partners. I speak to the resilience of local agencies because we know, right, economic ups and downs, the changing political nature of our society, the needs that change. Just thinking of the last 3 years with the COVID-19 pandemic, this network has remained steady. It's remained firm in its commitment. It remains supported on all sides of the aisle because it community action is of and from local communities and are able to address families' needs where they're at. It's just such an amazing milestone to be looking at next year. Very excited.
Now, Jamie, Denise just mentioned the changes and obviously COVID-19. We started this conversation with Denise a few years ago while COVID-19 was very much a reality in our lives. It still obviously has an impact in our daily lives, but so much has changed in that very short window of time. And when we think about community action over the last, it's coming on 60 years now, just reflecting on the past 3 for us, things are very different.
Absolutely. Much like in society, we were very much in a place during the pandemic of where we were looking at and assessing, what are the needs and where can we step in and where can we support our communities to make people's lives better. And, coming out of that pandemic, we are sort of taking a deeper look at who we are as a community, and really looking at what impacts are here now as a result of the pandemic, what impacts are still here, and how do we work with our community and within our community to continue to address those needs. And although it's not quite so fast and furious, that doesn't necessarily mean that the needs certainly aren't still there. Some of them are the same, some of them are different, some of them are amplified. And so, we are continuing to do those assessments and work with our community members to continue to meet those needs.
Let's shift our focus maybe to a future focus. And Denise, I know that this is the case with the National Community Action Partnership, and it wasn't that long ago that, Jamie, a year ago, that we were going through our own strategic planning process. Denise, as you went through the process, as we continue to look at strategic planning at the national level, what are some of the things that are really paramount to the strategic plan for the National Community Action Partnership and the efforts moving forward?
Our board really took a thoughtful approach to engaging the entirety of the Community Action Network in developing a strategic plan. And where we've come out the other end of a process, right? And the process matters because you're talking to local agencies, you're talking to state associations, you're trying to gather as much information about today's world as you possibly can as you lay out your strategies. But we see as the key drivers for our strategic plan include equity, dignity, and hope. And community action has almost a 60-year-long history, right, of centering our work in equity. And the board maintained its current value statements that it's maintained over the last number of years. And the one that comes to my mind today is that we recognize that structural race, gender, and other inequities remain barriers that must be addressed. And so when we look at our strategic initiatives going forward, leaning into our 60th year, we know that equity and the push toward equity needs to be a continual driver. We also have then the sense of hope. And you think about the promise of community action, and it starts off, community action embodies the spirit of hope. And that's not meant to sound happy-go-lucky in any sort of way, right? It is truly what families say is the difference maker that community action is in their lives. They walk in the door of a local community action agency and they say, I experienced a relationship with this organization and I felt a sense of hope. And that was one of the key drivers. And another element of our plan does, we talk about social and economic mobility because we understand that families need to be connected to their local community. We talk about maximum feasible participation in community action, where folks truly have a role in deciding the future and the investment of their local agency in terms of programs and services that are offered. But it's social and economic mobility. Now, not everybody, for everyone, is mobility going to be an option. I think of those older Americans who live in our country, right? Stability and a life of dignity is so critically important. And so we look at a lot of the work that community action agencies do, and we do a lot of things like housing development, but we also do a lot of things like course emergency services that help families live with a life of dignity. So I think our board is really saying that as we lean into the 60th year and beyond, we need to find ways that we continue to keep families stable, that we help families live a life of dignity, and that we also use our drivers to create social and economic mobility for families, all of which is kind of undergirded by a strong network of local agencies. So our board is also committing to what can we do training and technical assistance to support local agencies. How can we help agencies move beyond meeting basic organizational standards toward excellence? And I know ACAP has been a leader in leaning into the excellence framing of community action, and congratulations on that. We so appreciate your partnership on that. And the last thing I'll say, and I know there's a lot to talk about here, is leaning into the whole family approach. And community action has centered on families, but we understand that in terms of today's funding environment and organizational structure environment, we work with agencies to intentionally figure out what do we need to do to blend, braid, and effectively organize as a corporation, as an entity, to truly put the family at the center. So there's a lot there to unpack, certainly, but our board is really excited about the future.
And Jamie, as Denise is speaking, I'm thinking those are all lead portfolios of yours here at our agency as you're working with programs to integrate whole family approach throughout our agency and our comprehensive intake process that we're about to launch this summer and the like. And really going back to the strategic plan and the engagement, as Denise pointed out, the engagement of the network in the strategic plan, but we really engage our community in profound ways. So why don't we start there with you on that particular topic and sort of talk about how our strategic plan really does, as the National Community Action Partnership one, reflect the network. This one reflects our community.
Absolutely. So the really wonderful thing about community action is that we collect information from our community to inform the work that we do through our strategic plan. And so here at ACAP, that is no different. So what we have done is we actually came together as a state and conducted our most recent community needs assessment. And so that community needs assessment gave us results from across the state. And then they were able to drill down to really identify what those needs are in Aroostook County. And so as an agency, we pulled together a team of staff members and our board members and took that information that was collected during our community needs assessment process and turned that into our strategic plan. And so for those of you in Aroostook County, our strategic priorities are probably no surprise. Childcare, the need for high quality childcare was one of our top needs that were identified through our process. Housing, the need for safe and affordable housing was another one. Person-centered holistic healthcare was another area that was identified. Workforce development, and then transportation. Those were the top priorities that were identified throughout our community needs assessment, our prioritization process, and through our strategic planning process. And so through work that we do here at our agency and through community partnerships that we have developed and will continue to develop along the way, we will be working to alleviate the challenges in those particular areas. So we were able to take the national concept and really bring it home and make it so that the work here that Aroostook County Action Program is working toward really truly is at the fundamentals, meeting the community, the local need.
And it's already next year, 2024, when we're looking at another comprehensive community assessment. And I know this was one of the things that I was hoping to talk with Megan about, but you certainly can speak about this as well as one of the co-chairs for our one of our affiliate groups here in the state of Maine. You're actually moving the needle even further on the community needs assessment in a new exciting partnership.
We certainly are. I'm really excited. So just kind of going back before I tell this story, one of my co-chair, Heidi LeBlanc, and I presented our community needs assessment process to at the National Convention last year. And one of the first questions that we received from the audience was, have you tried to collaborate with your local community health needs assessment folks to involve them in the process? And so my answer was, it's interesting that you asked that question, because we have actually been approached by the state association of hospital systems that conduct a statewide assessment, and asked if we might be interested in exploring what that could look like. And so I engaged, myself and Megan Hanan engaged in an exploratory process over the last fall and winter on what that could possibly look like. We looked at the similarities between our assessments and our regulations, and we looked at the differences. We looked at the strengths and the opportunities for improvement for each process. And we've been able to come together and develop an MOU to continue moving forward with a shared community health needs assessment and community action needs assessment. One of the really great things that we found through our exploration process was that even though we had different priorities and different approaches to our community needs assessments, our results were similar. And so, so it really shows the connection between those social determinants of health that we are working to alleviate in community action, and the health indicators that the hospitals and the hospital systems are working toward, and how important it is for us to work together. So we are continuing to go through that process. We're actually in some early planning. We have a metrics committee who will be meeting later this month and exploring, what are the tools and the data points that we're going to be collecting in our process. And we have a community engagement committee that is looking at how we are going to engage and include the voices of the community in our assessments. So a lot of work is happening in that area, and I'm really excited about what Maine's product will be for the next statewide, both community action needs assessment and our health systems, community health systems needs assessment.
And Denise, it's really that kind of innovation and putting results, people in the center, and collaboration that really is a key backbone strength for the network nationwide.
It is, and I'm just so excited to hear, Jamie, about that partnership. We clearly are embedded in the social determinants of health. And we're seeing many more community action agencies and healthcare systems working together across this country. So it's great to see ACAP kind of really formalizing and being on the cusp of some really concrete ways to partner on that. Because there's no reason to duplicate. We have to partner. None of us are going to be able to solve these problems alone. And yeah, community action is leaning in all over the country, right? Trying to find new ways to partner, new ways to elevate the work, new ways to connect existing resources and new resources to help families in better and more innovative ways. So that's fantastic.
Another point I want to go back to, Denise, that you had talked about earlier is the connection, the peer-to-peer connection that's happening within the Community Action Network. In just the 7.5 years I've been with the network, I've really seen an increase in that peer-to-peer connection network, and those teachings and learning opportunities are mutually beneficial. At least I think we're finding that. What are you seeing in terms of how that's moving forward in various ways with the network?
When you think about how adults learn, right? And how organizations change. And it's one thing to get talked at, it's another thing to talk with. It's another thing to talk with somebody who is your peer and your colleague, and to learn from and share ideas. And we have expanded and grown our learning community model over the last 8 to 10 years, where we really try to bring peer-to-peers and peer-to-peer organization, leadership teams in the room together to talk about a variety of issues, because we have found that peer-on-peer expertise is the most valuable. And just a shout out to yourself, who I know traveled to Alaska to be part of a site visit that our team was conducting as well, again, to bring that peer expertise on the whole family approach to share. These are the lessons we learned. Here are the barriers we were able to navigate. Here's where we're maybe still jammed up a little bit on some stuff, right? So I think it really helps people feel less isolated, that they have someone to lean on. And what we see in these groups is that people find out, hey, I can do this, right? It's not going to be 0 to 60. We're going to take incremental steps. Oh, this is what happened over here. This mirrors what I'm experiencing over here. So what can we do to learn from each other? And so whether it is around the whole family approach, well, whether it's health intersections, for instance, or addressing homelessness, we find it really, really valuable to bring peer-to-peer learning with some support, certainly of some subject matter experts, right? But you don't have to have that one-on-one teaching modality. That's not how we as adults or organizations, we find, grow, learn, and change.
We've all mentioned whole family more than once, and I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive in that, because as you pointed out, it's sort of an incremental process, and we're still continuing to grow. And I'm going to have Jamie talk about the work that Aroostook County residents will see a difference in the way that they interface with us beginning this summer, and certainly want to do a deep dive into that with Jamie. But Denise, in terms of what you're seeing nationally, the whole family movement does seem to be growing rather quickly, and a lot of interest out there, certainly.
And many folks may have heard the 2-gen approach, and that is a core element, and that is the kind of one of those foundational elements of our whole family approach. But we recognize that families who are living with low income or are struggling, oftentimes it's not just 2 generations in the household. There may be a grandparent, there may be an aunt or an uncle, there might be related individuals serving in a caregiving role. And what we see agencies really doing, I think historically, this is where agencies have been. Funding streams, regulation, and policies make it really, really challenging. But in today's environment, with good data systems, data analysis, we know technology has shifted. There are new ways that agencies are saying, we can figure this out. We're going to find ways behind the scenes to make it easier for a customer or a family to come in the door, to do our first assessment, to set goals and strategies, to utilize all the services coming within an organization, so that the customer and to the family, it's in some ways invisible behind the scenes, all the machinations that are going on to serve the family, and then to talk about the outcomes of those of families as well. And again, every corner of America, we see agencies leaning in, and it's this sense of intentionality and discipline, and also excitement. I mean, we know one of the pieces is organizational culture change has to happen within an organization, because a lot of folks, we get used to running our program, but it's not about the program, right? It's about the family. And so we know we get jammed up again, whether it was with policies, with funders or regulations. So how do we as organizations navigate that so that the family, again, it's invisible, all the behind the scenes? But yeah, we're excited about the growth in this space.
And Jamie, that's a perfect lead into the next generation level work that we're looking to do, and sort of widening that funnel, and how we're working with customers across Aroostook County, not just those families with young children. So share a sort of a preview for folks out there if they're coming for example, their home energy assistance program appointment this fall, and how that might look different.
Sure. So we are going to start with when you either come in through the door, or or call us on the phone. Our reception team are going to be at the ready to be collecting some basic demographic information from you. So much like when you go to your doctor's appointment and they ask you to please verify that you still live at this particular address and that this is still your phone number. So it's going to start by looking slightly different, just by what your interaction is with our reception team upon entry to the building or calling us. And then the other piece is that we will have navigators that will be meeting with you prior to your appointments to just sort of gather. Basically, we're calling it a comprehensive screening, and really taking a look at your household and really identifying are you getting all of the services that you could possibly be eligible for, to make sure that you're connected to as many services as you are interested in or need. And so that navigator will be going through that process, assisting with applications if there are applications that need to be completed. And so all of that work, they'll also be collecting documentation from you to put into our data system so that you will not need to present your, for example, Social Security card to multiple staff within our agency, because it will be collected at one point of entry. And then staff will be able to access it through our secure data system. So just streamlining your experience to improve your experience and ensure that all of your needs are being met, and hopefully not needing to tell your story too many times to our staff, because we'll have the documentation in a shared system behind the scenes that should be pretty seamless for you. You may have just a little bit more time with us when you come in for an appointment, so that we can make sure that you have all of your needs being addressed. But that's just a preview as to what that's going to look like in the coming heating season and beyond. And we'll also be looking at some creative scheduling as well. So if you are a client that does receive multiple services from providers within our organization, we're going to try and schedule those appointments one after the other, so that for those of you who transportation may be a challenge, we'll be able to get all of those appointments taken care of in one-stop shop.
Yeah, exciting, and looking forward to that. And there's a great team, a great group of individuals from across the organization that have been working on that at all levels of the organization in multiple programs. And it was great to see that plan come together from multiple voices. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So let's sort of wrap our conversation up here with last thoughts and sort of parting words, or anything that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure we get out there into the universe as part of Community Action Month. Denise?
I was just trying to find the book here I wanted to hold up. For Community Action Month, it's always good, I think, to add a book to our reading list. And this is Poverty by America by Matthew Desmond. Has to be one of the best books I've read in a while. Matthew Desmond's previous book, Evicted, I believe won the Pulitzer Prize. He had a movie, the whole nine, right? This book is something that will resonate. And I believe really kind of sets a new kind of benchmark for us in our conversation. So as you develop your summer reading list, add a book into the mix, and I recommend Poverty by America by Matthew Desmond.
Wonderful. Thank you for that suggestion, Denise. Jamie?
Sure. So I think as each year, as May rolls around, I think it's just an opportunity for those of us here at ACAP, for those of us across the nation, to just kind of take pause and really take a look at the work that we are doing and the changes that are being made as a result of the work that's happening through community action, and to celebrate that. I don't know that we always take the opportunity to celebrate the work that we do, and to acknowledge all that's happening across the country. So I would just say that please join me in just taking a moment to celebrate the work of community action and the changes that we are making in people's lives.
Great advice, Jamie. Thank you very much. Before we leave the two of you, and before we leave you all this week, as we do at this point in the broadcast, we share with you our snapshot of the week. And this week, we actually have two snapshots, a before and after photo this week. And this is a preview also of a future edition of ACAP Today. This is a home in limestone that was donated to the agency, bequeathed in a gentleman's will, because he sat down with his attorney, and he asked his attorney, who can I donate my house to, who will put it in the hands of a family in need. And so thanks to the efforts of our family coaches across the agency and our housing and energy team, we were able to identify a family that had been through our home buyer education course, that was going through coaching, that had a child in our early care and education program. that was greatly in need of a home to call their own. And so next month, they will move into this home. This was the before picture of the kitchen in the home and the in progress picture of the crew that we have that is working on the home. The best part about this project is we were fortunate enough to receive grant funding through the Department of Economic and Community Development here in the state of Maine to do the necessary upgrades to the house. And the family is helping to build their credit. They're actually paying for a portion of the house themselves and have obtained credit to do that. And we will then take the funds that we receive from the family for their portion of the payment of the house and we'll pay it forward and be able to help another family to get into housing. So this project is one that's truly a win across our agency, and it serves as our snapshots of the week. And we'll be looking forward to connecting with some of the folks who worked on this project and made it a reality for this family in the coming month on ACAP Today. That's this week's edition of our broadcast. We'll be back next week with another Community Action Month edition of ACAP Today. We'll see you then. Have a great week, everyone.